Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. The topic of this 10-minute moan is the fact that Stonewall, a government-funded charity for the LGBTQ plus I's, has changed its definition of what transphobia is. What they've done, they've changed the word, they've not told anybody. And you might wonder, well, why is that such an important thing? And I'll explain to you why in a minute. Now, their original definition was quite long-winded, and it was the fear or dislike of someone based on the fact they are trans, including denying their gender identity or refusing to accept it. Transphobia may be targeted at people who are or who are perceived to be trans. So in their original definition, anybody who didn't call someone a man that wanted to be called he, her, she, her, then that in their eyes was transphobic. But now, in the new version of it, the new definition of transphobia, prejudice or negative attitudes, beliefs or views about trans people. This can include the fear or dislike of someone based on the fact they are perceived to be trans. That's it. Nothing about refusing to, denying the gender identity and refusing to accept it. So they've taken that clean out. Now you might wonder, well, what does it matter? I'll tell you what it matters. These people have had thousands of organisations and businesses over the last years who they use to give them advice on their DEI and how to be LGBTQ plus friendly. Now, are they going round all these businesses now and telling them it's okay for your staff, they don't need to accept the pronouns or suggested by someone when they're in fact not true? I doubt it very much. So these people have spent probably the best part of a decade telling all these businesses and all these organisations that the rest of their staff are transphobic if they refuse to or deny the gender identity or refuse to accept the gender identity of a trans person. And that's a massive thing, because how many businesses and institutions and organisations out there will still be running off the old description of what they believe is transphobia? Now, I'm quite happy that they've dropped it, because it was ridiculous that I would be termed transphobic for simply calling a man he and him, even if it was a man with a beard and a dress, right? So it's a good thing they're taking it out, and it's a good thing for people who question the whole trans movement, because that's what we've been saying all along. That why should I be, no, I wouldn't go out my way to be rude, to, deliberately upset, deliberately make somebody feel bad about, using the wrong pronouns. But they were telling everybody you would be transphobic for doing so, and now they're not. But the big issue I've got is how many people out there are still going to be using this incorrect terminology that these people have been indoctrinating, and even school kids in school. How many are they going to go back to and say, we were actually wrong? I'll tell you, zero. But even their new description of what transphobia is, prejudice or negative attitudes, beliefs or views on trans people. So does that mean if I don't want to accept that, and I'm happy to believe that there's two sexes and two genders, and there's no difference between sex and gender, does that make it a negative attitude? Because who decides? It's how all these laws and things as well. It's who gets to decide what is and what isn't a negative attitude. Now, my views and beliefs are a man's a man, a woman's a woman. Now, there may be a thing called gender dysphoria. I am perfectly open-minded and consider it may or may not be real, that some people are genuinely born, but I don't believe the vast majority of people that present as trans people are actually suffering from dysphoria, if such a thing actually happens, because that's debatable. People far more intelligent than me still debate with each other whether gender dysphoria is an actual thing or not. So I'm not going to make that decision. But what I do believe is, a man's a man, a woman's a woman. If your man wants to wear a dress and a woman doesn't, that doesn't make them change and transgender. It just means they've got clothes on that are not normal for a woman or what we perceive as normal for a man. I don't think that's bigoted. I don't think it's transphobic. It's just what I believe to be factual. So if my perception is correct, their perception of me is I'm transphobic by being correct. And that's crazy. The only thing that is transphobic is someone who maybe is violent, goes out their way to be nasty, maybe didn't give somebody a job because there was a trans person in front of them. That's transphobic. But having a prejudice or negative attitude or belief of trans people isn't transphobic. It's just bonkers. But these people take hundreds of millions of pounds because they're heavily funded by your government to indoctrinate people into this nonsense. So, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have not already done so, please hit the subscribe and the notification bell. Let me know your comments and opinions below. But most importantly of all, unless you're the type of person that's been telling somebody for decades that by not accepting somebody as trans is transphobic, and not you, but
everyone else, have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.